If God is all knowing, why does he have to test you? If he knows everything that is going to happen, why does he have to test you? Does that make any sense? This is a common question that a lot of people ask, and it was also a question that I had. And I was like, you know what? I need to figure this out. I got to find a way to make this make sense. Okay. And I did. I think I got some really good information for you. So if you like the biblical mindset, make sure you tune in and watch the entire video, because at the end, I'm going to give you a good gem on why this makes a lot of sense. Okay. But first, we're going to go through one of the most well-known examples. Okay. And the first example we're going to talk about is with Abraham and Isaac. So if you know a little bit about the Bible, you know about the Abraham and Isaac situation where he was like, hey, I need you to sacrifice your son for me, blah, blah, blah. Now, a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about this, but in the end, this was a test to see what Abraham was going to do. But let's actually dive into that. Let's look at it. So if you got a Bible, or if you have a digital Bible, whatever the case may be, you can kind of follow along. Genesis 22, and we're going to read this, okay? That's where it's going to start off. So let's take a look. So it starts off saying, now after this, the true God put Abraham to the test. And he said to him, Abraham, to which he replied, here I am. Then he said, take, please, your son, your only son, whom you so love, Isaac, and travel to the land of Moriah, and offer him up there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will designate to you. So first of all, it's like, wait, a burnt offering? I'm sure Abraham knew what that meant. Okay, they knew what that meant back in those times. He probably was like, dang, that's crazy. But he decided to do it, right? He's like, all right, well, I guess this is something I got to do. God has asked me to do it. I got to do it. So let's continue. So Abraham got up early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took two of his servants along with him and his son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, and then he rose and traveled to the place that the true God indicated to him. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place from a distance. Abraham now said to his servants, you stay here with the donkey, but the boy and I will go over there and worship and return to you. So Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and put it on his son Isaac. Then he took in his hands the fire and the knife, and the two of them walked on together. Then Isaac said to his father, Abraham, my father. He replied, yes, my son. So he continued, here are the fire and the wood, but where's the sheep for the burnt offering? To this Abraham said, God himself will provide the sheep for the burnt offering, my son. And the both of them walked together. So look, first of all, it's a bunch going on right now, okay? It's a whole bunch going on right now. And if we want to just break this all the way down to what is this all about? Why would God be like, dude, I need you to kill your son for me? The reason being, okay, is because he considered Abraham as a very close friend, okay? However, he needed to know if he was willing to do whatever it took to listen to him, okay? This is God in reference to Abraham. God needed to know if Abraham was willing to do whatever it takes to follow him, okay? And this is extremely important because this relates to you. This relates to you. Sometimes you will be in a position to where God will need to know if you really down. That's the whole gist of this whole thing. He needed to know if he was really actually down. So now we're trying to figure out, okay, why did he have to go to that extreme? Why, if he knows everything, If God knows what he was going to do anyway, why did he have to go into that whole spiel and make him go all the way so close to killing his son? Because by the end of this, he does not kill his son. God stops him and he's like, hey, no, wait. Okay, I see that you was going to go through with it. Don't do it. Okay, I don't need you to do it. I just wanted to see if you was going to actually go through with it. But I see you was right about to do it, and he stopped him right before he was about to do it. Okay, now again, you could be like, what is going on here? That doesn't make any sense. But it does. And the reason why it does is going to make even more sense. It's going to make even more sense with this next example. Then when I give you this next example, okay, I'm going to give you the actual reason why this has to take place. Okay, so let's look at the next example. So we're going to look at the example of Jesus this time, okay? So God had his son obviously come down and save the world, basically. And in this process, he had to get killed. He had to sacrifice himself for everybody. And now, again, you would think like, what if if God knows everything that's going to happen, what does this have to do with anything? Why would he have to go through this process? Okay, so check it out. So Jesus is now praying to his dad. Let's look at this. So if you got your Bible, again, Matthew, we in chapter 26, and we going to start at verse 38. Okay. Then he said to them, talking to his disciples, I'm deeply grieved, even to death. Stay here and keep on the watch for me. This is right before he was about to get apprehended by Judas and all of them. And going a little forward, he fell face down, praying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass away from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will. So look, if you look at this and you be like, okay, what is going on, man? Why did he have to sacrifice his son? That's a much, much deeper conversation, but in the context of what we're talking about, okay, of why does he test your faith? Because this also, in a way, was God testing Jesus to make sure he was going to go through with it. Okay, because Jesus obviously didn't want to go through with it. He was like, look, man, if somebody else, if you can get this cup up off of me, get this cup up off of me, please. Like, I don't want it. But let not my will go. Let not my will be done. Let your will be done. Okay, so in that process, what happens? Yes, he lets Jesus go through the whole entire process to the point where he gets killed. It has to go down like that. Okay, now here's the unseen spiritual gem. Okay, here's what we really need to pay attention to. This is why he decides to let this stuff go down. This is why he has to test you. It's because even though he knows all of the outcomes, he knows what's going to happen if you do the wrong thing. He knows what's going to happen if you do the right thing. He knows these things. But that don't mean that he's controlling you. That don't mean that he's controlling the outcome unless it is very specifically stated that that's what he's going to do. You have free will. That means that even though God knows the different multiple choices that you're going to make, and he knows the outcomes of those different choices that you could possibly make, does not mean that he knows what you're gonna specifically choose. He just knows what the outcomes are of the choices that you decide. But you have free will to decide what you want to decide. That is what a lot of people miss. In all of the scenarios, of any scenario that can be scenarioed, okay? God knows every little meticulous outcome. I like to think of it of like if you saw Avengers and you see how Doctor Strange is like looking for all the different outcomes of how they can win. That's literally basically what it is. He knows all of the different possibilities, but as far as what you are actually going to do and go through and forward with, what you are actually going to go forward with, that's what he has to see, because you have the opportunity to choose what you decide to choose because of the free will that he has given all of us. So I hope that really made sense for you. I hope that really brings things together, because it brought things together for me. I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's why a lot of this stuff is going on, is because yes, he knows all of the possible outcomes, but he's not directly controlling anybody's decision making. Why? Because you have the free will of choice. And it's up to you to make the right decision. And that's something that we all got to think about all the time, every single day. So yeah, shoot me a message if you like this, y'all. All right, let me know what you think. Again, this your first time tuning in. I'm Kevin Anytime, Mindset Specialist. I talk about everything that involves your mindset, because what your mind is set on will dictate your future. All right. So yeah, if you want to help support, man, make sure you go to the website, www.mindsetmattersmore.store. I got some gear on the website if you want to help support. Also, if you want to get on the email list, okay, go to www.mindsetmattersmore.net. I send out good information. I send out health information, mental health, spiritual health, all of that stuff, physical health, in email format. So if you want to get some of that information in written form, go ahead and go to that website, sign up for the email list. All right. But other than that, y'all, you already know. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of the above, so you can help us build. Let's get it.